Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into chapter 33 of the book of Job.
Hmm.
Our mission is really just to unpack the key ideas in these verses about how God is shown speaking, maybe what suffering means here, and this idea of restoration.
Right. So straight away, we get this new voice, someone talking directly to Job.
Yeah, who is this?
Well, he starts by really laying out his credentials, you could say, claims his words come from an upright heart.
Okay.
And interestingly, he puts himself on the same level as Job before God. He says, I too have been taken from clay. Basically, I'm human, just like you.
Got it. So he establishes that first, and then he doesn't really hold back, does he? He challenges Job pretty directly.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's immediate. Answer me then if you can. Prepare yourself and confront me. It's like, okay, Job, your turn. Let's hear it.
He's really setting the stage there.
Definitely. So after establishing who he is, he then outlines what he thinks Job has been saying.
What's a summary of Job's view?
He boils it down to Job feeling like, I am pure and without sin. I am clean and free from guilt, completely innocent.
Uh-huh.
And despite that, Job feels God is like turned against him, found fault with me. He considers me his enemy, even fastens my feet in shackles and watches his every move. That's the gist of how the speaker hears Job.
Okay, so that's Job's perceived position, but this speaker immediately pushes back.
Right away. He tells Job, pretty bluntly, in this you are not right.
And what's the core reason he gives?
Well, two things, really. First, God is greater than any human, sure. But the main point seems to be God does communicate. It's not that God is silent.
Oh, okay.
The problem, according to the speaker, is more about human perception. He says God speaks now one way, now another, even if people don't always, perceive it.
So the argument isn't silence, it's maybe missed signals. How does he say God speaks then?
Well, the first way mentioned is through dreams and visions. Specifically, in a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on men.
Okay, like subconscious communication.
Kind of. And the text gives them a clear purpose. They're to deliver warnings, maybe to steer someone away from wrongdoing or pride.
Warning.
Yeah, the aim seems preventative to preserve his soul from the pit. It sounds like keeping them from death or destruction.
So dreams as a sort of divine heads up, that's one way. But the second method sounds, well, a lot rougher.
It really does. The text talks about being chastened on a bed of pain with constant distress in his bones.
Oof. That sounds intense.
It is. And the description is graphic. It talks about food becoming repulsive, flesh wasting away until the bones stick out, the person's soul nearing the grave. It's severe suffering.
And this is presented as another form of communication, or maybe correction.
Yeah, it seems framed that way. Like this intense pain is another language God uses, perhaps when other messages, maybe those dreams weren't enough or weren't heard.
So we've got dreams as warnings and then this really harsh suffering. But the chapter doesn't just leave it there, right? There's a way out.
Exactly. It introduces this possibility of rescue, but it's conditional. It hinders on if there is an angel on his side as a mediator, 1 out of 1,000.
A mediator, so like an intermediary. What does this figure do?
Well, the text says this mediator's job is twofold. First, to tell the suffering person what is right, maybe guide them. And second, to actually intercede with God for them, to basically plead, spare him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom for him.
A ransom. That's interesting. Like a price paid for release?
The text uses that word ransom. It suggests some kind of payment or means by which this rescue is achieved.
And if this mediation happens, what's the result according to chapter 33?
It's described as a really dramatic turnaround. Physically, the person's flesh is renewed like a child's, like their youth is restored.
Wow.
And spiritually, they find favor with God again, they see God's face with joy, and they're restored to their righteous state. It's a complete reversal of that suffering picture.
That's incredible. And does the person themselves acknowledge this?
Yes, the text includes the restored person's testimony.
Yeah.
They confess, I sinned and perverted what was right. There's an admission of fault,
Okay.
but immediately followed by this sense of grace. But I did not get what I deserved. And then gratitude. He redeemed my soul from going down to the pit, and I will live to enjoy the light.
So sin acknowledged, but grace received.
Yeah.
The speaker then wraps this up right. What's his final point about God's actions?
He emphasizes that God does these things, whether warnings through dreams or this path involving suffering and potential rescue repeatedly, twice, even 3 times, the text says.
And the ultimate goal behind it all.
According to this speaker, it's consistently to turn back his soul from the pit, that the light of life may shine on him. It's about restoration and life.
Okay.
And he ends by inviting Job, again, to just listen. Pay attention, Job, and listen to me. Be silent and I will speak. He offers to teach Job wisdom.
So, pulling back from the details for a moment, what does this specific perspective in Job 33 offer us, or you listening?
Well, it presents a view where God is actively communicating, maybe in ways that aren't always obvious dreams, yes,
Mhm.
but even potentially through hardship.
Right?
It frames suffering not necessarily just as punishment, but maybe as a severe warning or difficult path towards being corrected and saved. And then it offers this striking picture of mediation and ransom leading to full restoration. The imagery is really powerful.
So, a final thought maybe to chew on from this chapter. According to this specific text, is suffering primarily presented as punishment, or more as a warning? Or could it even be somehow a difficult pathway towards wisdom and restoration? Something from Job 33 to think about.